Welcome to a special edition of EN Vivo. I'm your host for the day and sports editor Nick Talbot. I'm joined today by sports columnist Mike Finger and Spurs reporters Jeff McDonald and Tom Orsborn. And of course, we're going to be discussing the Spurs. It's a preseason preview. We're going to be talking about all things Wemby, maybe a little Stephen Castle, some Dylan Harper. Guys, what are the biggest questions going into this season? Jeff, you have a story coming up in the Sunday's paper. Short plug here. Cheap plug for Sunday's paper will be our Spurs preview. You can get the schedule and his story on some of the top storylines. So what are some of our top storylines?
I mean, we can get into all kinds of, we can get into the weeds and talk about all kinds of minor stories, this, that, all the things they've done over the offseason, the rookies they've added, but it all comes down to the big fella in the middle. Is Victor Wembanyama back? Is he back to being Victor Wembanyama? And can he be that guy that carries them throughout the entire season?
Well, can he? Well, are you going to answer the question?
That's TBD. I'll answer their questions. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
That's a good segue too, because I probably should plug that everyone joining us, don't click in the chat. That's not active right now. Click on the Q&A portion if you want to ask us questions. If you really want to have all their snark directed at you, click on the Q&A button, and there will be as snarky with you as possible when they're answering your questions. To
actually answer your question, he's looked great during the preseason. He's played in all the 4 preseason games so far. There's another one tonight. He's looked like, not only does he look like he hasn't missed a beat, he looks just rejuvenated, if you can even say that about a 21-year-old man.
We had a couple, before the questions come in, Nick, we had a couple on social media that came from people who weren't able to make it live and just wanted to hear Tom and Jeff.
Why do they get to butt the line?
Well, you know, it's good that
all
they
these
tried to
people like are on. Go ahead.
We don't have them yet. There was a question about Jeremy Sohan, who is going to be apparently unavailable to start the season, and what do you think the prognosis is for maybe extending him before the season starts?
That question actually just came into our chat.
Did it?
Well, who came into?
Well, it says anonymous. They signed in as anonymous.
Anonymous.
Put your name here, and we'll get a plug on your name too.
Jeff and I were talking about that just a while ago at practice. You know, there's question marks around him. The ability to stay healthy is one. Has he improved? You know, regarding his three-point shooting? Spurs staffers say he has, but we haven't seen it yet. So I think the Spurs have good reason to wait. You know, let him become a restricted free agent. You know, they can match whatever offers. I don't think he would get a huge offer from somebody. Maybe he would.
Restricted free agency is tough.
Yeah. So I think they're going to wait. I think they're prudent in that. And plus, Brian Wright was non-committal when Mike asked him about that on Media Day during our short chat with General Manager Brian Wright.
I think letting a guy get to restricted free agency in this day and age isn't the worst idea ever.
Right.
Because if you look at, like, it was just a cold market last year. The guys that went to restricted free agency, they stayed out there on the market until, late into the fall, into the summer. And most of them, if not all of them, just went back to their teams. So the worst case scenario is you wait to see what the market will bear on Jeremy Sohan and then pay him whatever you need to retain him. You've got the right of first refusal. If he's a restricted free agent, you can match any outside offers. So I think it appears at this point, and we could be looking pretty stupid here in about a week, but it appears at this point that they're going to let him go into the season without that extension.
It's been 4 years of, this is a big year for Jeremy, and this is another one. And I think we're getting a better picture of what exactly he is. We mentioned this on the Spurs Insider podcast a few weeks ago, which is, we're still doing every week. Tom and Jeff very excited about that. But he's no longer, I don't think, viewed as like a core, integral, build-around type of guy. He's not in that Wemby, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper level. But we're going to find out what he is, and I think he's exactly the type of guy you let go to restricted free agency and figure out from that point forward.
Among the fan base, he seems to be one of the more polarizing players.
Right.
Some people think he should be starting, and what are we even doing here? Mm-hmm. And others can't understand how he's even on the roster. I think the Spurs view him properly, like right in the middle of that. He's a very useful piece to have. to keep around at a certain price.
He brings the nasty. They don't have a lot of that. That's something they I don't want to say covet, but they like. He routinely guards the other team's best perimeter deep offensive player. There's things to like about him, but as Mike said, every year has been a year he has to prove things, and he's back at that point.
And he has to prove things doing something totally different than they asked of him the year before.
Yeah, and
he has to play. He has to be available.
Yeah.
Which is another issue.
Yeah.
Anyway, this isn't the Jeremy Sohan podcast. What else we have?
Well, we got a few questions here.
Moving along.
People like to talk about the money. They want to know: is there any sense that Victor would take a hometown discount when he? Obviously, he was just extended this week. But when it does come due, the money comes due. Do you think Victor would take a hometown discount to stay?
He's a max player.
Yeah, he's a max player. That just is what it is.
The most money that the Spurs can give him at any point over the next 15 years, he's going to get it.
And if maybe more,
then something.
If you look at what the Clippers do, that's why maybe more.
No, he's there's no hometown discount. This isn't his hometown, by the way, and no, he's the guy who gets the most money that the Spurs legally are allowed to give him, and the Spurs are more than happy to give him that because he's worth way more than that. If there was not a salary cap, if there was not max contracts, he'd make $100 million a year, and the Spurs would see that as a bargain.
Yes, the Spurs are planning on paying him the max money for as long as he will allow them to.
Right.
There was a second part of that question. It's kind of get into the weeds. But they're talking about the Spurs going into that apron and the second aprons once he does come due, and you do give him a max contract, and because you already have Fox signed up, and then you got Harper, and then you have Castle. What do you do with those issues, and who do you make? What choices do you make? Obviously, you choose Victor.
Spurs aren't even in the playoffs yet. I mean, and I mean, they haven't made the playoffs in 6 years, and we're getting into 4 years down the line.
This is what people want to know.
All those things.
Jeremy Gold wants to know.
All those things they work themselves out, man. You pay these. If that's your biggest problem, is you have too many guys that are worthy of max contracts. That's a really good contract, a good problem to have. And you look at what Oklahoma City did. They just won a title. They gave Shea Gilgeous-Alexander as much as they could give him. They gave Chet Holmgren as much as they could give him. They gave Jalen Williams as much as they can give him. They're going to be fine for years to come. The apron will become an issue, but these owners crying poverty, NBA teams crying all these restrictions from the apron, it's not that big of a deal. If you draft the right guys, sign the right guys, things work out.
I thought the second apron is what I put on after I spilled the barbecue sauce.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I mean, if that's your worry, that how are we going to keep all these great players if you're the Spurs?
Then you're probably in the final.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's what the Thunder just did. They won a finals. They signed 3 guys to max extensions. And if those 3 guys are Victor, Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper, the cap goes up every year, so De'Aaron Fox's extension will be less and less obtrusive as time goes by. I think they're going to be in great shape. And the issue is, like, what are they this year? When is that playoff drought going to end? And we've talked a lot about that, but I'm sure that people want to hear more about that too.
We do. We do have some more pertinent questions coming into this season now. One. Matt Garcia wants to know who's going to step up this year to fill the leadership void by CP3.
Excellent question. I did write a story about that earlier this camp, and it is sort of TBD. I mean, they do have some veteran guys, Harrison Barnes and Bismack Biyombo, and even Luke Cornett's a 30-something, but nobody that's going to be the vocal leader like Chris Paul is, and it's going to be up to someone to step into that void.
I don't think anyone on earth. Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Who's somewhere right now, wherever he is, he's talking.
Isn't the leader Wemby?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the leader. He doesn't have to be vocal. He sets the tone with how he works, and when he does say something, they listen. And he does say a lot from what the players told me.
This is a big Chris Paul room. I think everybody in here enjoyed having him around for a year, and he was just a trip to be around. So glad we got a chance to live the covering Chris Paul experience, because it was fun. But when you talk about replacing that, that's still a team that fell well short of the playoffs last year. It took a nice step, but it's not like that's a gaping void that he was this vocal leader in huddles that led them to all these victories. It's like that's organic. That's your, like Tom said, that's your best player. Those are the guys that are on the court. If they're in close games, they're going to get some leadership from Harrison Barnes. They're going to get some from Wemby. They're going to get some from Keldon Johnson. On down the line. Like, I don't think it has to be one old man rallying the troops.
Tim Duncan was our leader.
Speaking of one old man
lot.
rallying the troops, Andrew Cheatham from Australia, all the way down under, watching us apparently
At like 5 a.m. or something. Like
Spurs fan from over 30 years. He says, he's finding the preseason strange without Pop. How has it been without him over this last year running the show, and what has changed?
That's a great question from down under.
Take that one.
Oh, I miss his voice in certain aspects. But yeah, I mean, it's a sea change. It's huge. And that's not to denigrate Mitch Johnson at all. But, you're talking about a guy who was the face of the franchise for 29 plus years. A huge, huge presence in the NBA. The void is huge. It's massive.
For us up here personally, it's been different covering coach that will answer your questions.
Yeah.
And now you're like, I have 10 minutes of tape to transcribe after this pregame that you used to be able to count on every so often. You get a 45-second pop, and it was like, it saved you a lot of time. Now we have a coach that answers questions.
Can you really answer something that says when you start the question with how?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was always one of Pop's pet peeves.
Yes.
The flip side of that is, and Jeff's jesting.
I'm being a little flippant. Yes.
Because for his reputation, some of the best. Here's the thing: it was extremes. You would either have some of the worst pregame sessions with a coach were Pop, and the best pregame sessions with a coach NBA wide were Pop, oftentimes. And generally, there just wasn't a whole lot in the middle. It was either really good or just disinterested. But Jeff and Tom and I used to talk for years about how when you write about the Spurs, when you cover the Spurs, even when they're not contending for titles, one thing that made the job feel like people cared about what you were covering was the fact that Greg Popovich was there, and that you could walk into a preseason practice, you could walk into a game against the Charlotte Hornets in early January when no one cared, and you felt like if you walked in and Pop had something to say, that added like a sense of gravitas or importance to the whole thing. And that we might have been in our own heads on that, but he had this newsworthiness or just notable aspect to him that I think that not many other coaches have. And again, like Tom said, that's not against Mitch Johnson, but Mitch Johnson can make the most eloquent comment about something going on in the world that you've ever heard, and no one's going to care about it like they cared about Greg Popovich saying it. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's one that was a great question from Australia. That's one thing, just as a sports writer, that's different, is you don't have that singular personality kind of hovering over everything. And
I think our Australian friend was probably wanting to know more about what's different about the Spurs.
Sure.
Not what us numbnuts think about it. But Mitch has mentioned a couple of times that what's different, Mitch coached 70 some odd games last year. He was basically the coach for the entire season. Mm-hmm. But what's different for him this year is it's his team now. Yeah. And that doesn't mean he's going to stray away from everything that Pop has built and the culture and the principles that he's laid down, but he now feels a little bit more freedom to do it the Mitch Johnson way. I mean, he said last year, a lot of days we were just trying to get through the day and just trying to keep it together. We're not adding a bunch of stuff. We're not changing a bunch of stuff. And to have a training camp that is, Mitch didn't use these words, but to have a training camp that's mine, we've been able to add and change and put our own little spin on it.
And we've talked about this before, but NBA teams don't practice during the season.
Yeah.
So even though Mitch Johnson coached for 75 games last year as the head coach, there wasn't ever a chance during all those 75
There's probably
games
3 full practices
where he got to run a practice and
not a shoot around, but a practice.
So even though Mitch was in charge for almost the whole season, it was all building off of the Greg Popovich training camp. And so that's why the Mitch Johnson training camp, you're going to see new plays. You're going to see new stuff. You're going to see maybe some. I've been looking at what people around the league, really smart analytics type guys, are saying about the way the Spurs are now using Victor Wembanyama in the high post, that they didn't use him as much last year. That can be whole new philosophies, not whole new team philosophies, but half court philosophies about how to maximize the 7'5" guy who can do everything. And so to me, I think that's one of the more exciting things about a new era is maybe there's going to be a new spin on just the basketball part of it.
And that new era includes something we haven't had before, an associate head coach.
There you go.
Sean Sweeney, who is very active in their defensive planning, scheming. So that's a dynamic we haven't had before.
Ran some really good defenses. So you lose.
Yes, he has.
You lose a guy who's been known for a quarter century as one of the just cutting edge, sharpest defensive minds in the league, and you replace him with an associate head coach who built really good defenses in Milwaukee, Dallas. That could be a big deal.
All right. One last question on the coaches, and then we got a lot of questions about individual players. Just so I'm trying to stick on theme here. This one's a little out of the box, though, from Michelle. She's talking about Coach Popovich again. If the Spurs built their own AI coach, what trait of Popovich's would it need to simulate him and feel authentic?
The sense of humor and the sarcasm and that's what I think.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. This is not. I'm holding my tongue on the AI thing.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what you have against Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Hates Allen Iverson. All right, we'll get into some more player-specific questions here. Let me scroll up a little bit. Jay Wright wants to know if you had to guess the Spurs starting lineup, would Devin Vassell be in it because they believe in him, or are they showcasing for a future trade? It's very early. It doesn't seem like he's made some leap that some people have hoped for.
He hasn't made the leap, but he's a good player.
Yeah,
he's a starting caliber player.
Yeah,
go ahead and do your starting lineup. That's a good question.
You're talking about for the season opener in Dallas. Who's going to be the starting?
Let's do them both, because I think that's
gets more interesting when De'Aaron Fox comes back.
Right.
Well, without De'Aaron Fox, what's the lineup, and then how does that change?
I think without De'Aaron Fox for the first game or two of the year, it's at this point I'm willing to bet a whole lot of money on it, because we've now seen it a couple times and probably will again tonight. But it's Steph Castle, Devin Vassell, Julian Champagnie, Harrison Barnes, and Victor Wembanyama. Now, when Fox comes back, someone's going to be the odd man out, but I assume that will probably be Champagnie going to the bench. The rest of it remains the same.
Castle can play that wing position.
Yeah.
That's going to be a question, though, as to, well, there's a couple questions there. You're replacing Champagnie, whose job in that starting lineup is to be a 3-and-D guy and to make the open three, and that's not necessarily what Stephon Castle does
Not
best.
necessarily. Nope.
So are you better off leaving Champagnie in the starting lineup to hit that open three-pointer and then playing Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper together, which is the best backup backcourt in the league, probably, with those two guys, the two guys who could, the rookie of the year last year and a guy who's going to contend for it this year. But the whole question about when they drafted Dylan Harper is there enough basketballs to go around? How do you fix all these playmakers? At some point, Stephon Castle's going to play alongside a point guard, and that's a fascinating thing to me to watch this year. Is how does he adapt to playing alongside a point guard? Because no matter how you slice it, it's going to happen. With De'Aaron Fox or with Dylan Harper.
But he did last year too. I mean, he started 40-something games, which all of those would have been next to Chris Paul.
Right.
But yeah, never mind.
Back to Devin. I think one of the success stories last year for Mitch Johnson was communicating to him that he wanted to see him focus on things outside of scoring. He took some of the pressure off of him late in the season and kind of prepared him for what they're going to have this year. And Devin responded to that. Now, after Fox went out and Wemby went out, he was back in that primary scoring role. But I think he has a good relationship with Mitch. I think Mitch has told him, this is what we need from you. You need to concentrate a little more on defense, rebounding, assists, steals. And I think he'll respond.
Look, here's the deal with Vassell. And I understand it.
Here's
I'm not, I'm not, I'm not- here's the
deal.
Here's the deal with Vassell. I'm not crapping on the question, but he was taking one pick before Tyrese Halliburton,
Yeah.
who just led his team to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And he's always going to have to kind of carry that burden in a way.
Yeah.
We
And
got to let that go because he's not going to be Therese Halliburton anymore.
you do, but I understand
What is
sort of the sentiment from
Yeah, I get
listeners
it.
out there, from the Spurs fans who see him as a guy who has not, this team hasn't made the playoffs in 6 years. He's been around for the bulk of that. He hasn't made that difference that you expect, or that a guy drafted right behind him did make, and that's unfair. Like how many guys can you say aren't Nikola Jokic, who was taken in the middle of the Taco Bell commercial? That's sort of unfair.
At this point, you got to say he's what you got, and he's still a good player. How does he fit with what you've got? And if he's your fourth or fifth scorer, that's pretty good. Like I think he had 4 points in Indiana the other day, but they came at a time where like nothing else was working. It seemed like they were about to give the game away, and all of a sudden now here's Devin, who everybody else has been scoring all day. Well, now here's this guy who is capable of being a 25-point scorer in the NBA, just hits 2 tough shots.
Yeah. And
just kind of stops the dry spell. If you can look at Devin as that kind of guy and not this guy that we drafted ahead of Tyrese Halliburton, then he fits here.
And we were just talking to him about his health. He's really, really feeling good.
I wanted him to stop talking because
knock on wood. The poor guy along the lines of Jeremy. I mean, there's injuries that have cropped up for him.
Well, the same. I was thinking about Jeremy during Jeff's answer there, in that for a couple of years, Devin and Jeremy were asked to do things that they're not asked to do anymore. And the key now is to find your role against. If Tom would have tested the mic, our producer Monty just moved Tom's mic, and they were giving me all kinds of grief before this big event started.
You harp on spacing more than some NBA coach.
Exactly.
I mean, I was
just trying to get the spacing figured out before this started, and Tom refused to test the mic in the way that I asked him to test it.
You didn't know we were going to do this with Francis Ford Coppola.
You need to pound the rock
guy
in terms of your preparation. And this is something that I think Mitch Johnson needs to keep in mind too. Like the walkthrough that we had, there was a lack of focus, and then we had to make an adjustment during the game that we should not have had to have made. And now I'm completely distracted from my point about Devin Vassell.
Jeff, there was a director back in the 20s and 30s named Hal Roach. He did a lot of Laurel and Hardy stuff.
Okay.
And I think that fits Mike better.
That's okay.
Great Francis Ford Coppola.
You
were making
you and Mike
references from the 1930s up in here.
You and Mike Monroe got that reference.
Anyway, but no, the Devin Vassell thing. Now he has to be who he is on a team with De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper. And that's different than he was asked to be a couple of years ago. And I think he fits better in this than he did 3 years ago.
Right. Yes. You're right.
Physically, it's an easier job.
It is.
If you can mentally get your head around, but for both, for Devin, there was a year where you're our go-to guy. Just go shoot a bunch. And if you can get your head around that you're not going to be that guy with this team, it's an easier job. Just stand over there and hit three. Like they don't need Devin to handle the ball
at all.
Like there was a time there where they wanted him to be, because they didn't have anybody else, and they just need him to hit the open ones.
Yeah. And Mitch wisely had that talk with him. I think it was in February, explaining to him, this is what we need from you now. And it's going to carry over.
And if he can embrace that, I think he has a chance to be a really good role player for what this team needs. You look at Keldon Johnson as a kind of a guy that came before him, going through all these different roles, averaging 22 points one season in the NBA, and then told you're not the go-to scorer anymore. You're not even a starter anymore. Go do that off the bench. And it took him a while, but he became a guy where I really like him coming off the Spurs bench.
I'm just curious your opinion on the question we kind of skipped over earlier. When De'Aaron comes back, would you send Julian to the bench or Stephon Castle?
You make good points. You're asking what I would do or what I think they could do, which might be two different things.
Either one.
I think their first move is going to be to move Julian back to the bench.
Yeah.
And it may not work, and they may have to go to something else.
maybe it depends on what Julian does in this time frame. If
He's
he
looked
can-
really good in the
If he can
preseason.
shoot like he's shooting in the preseason.
Not that you can take everything from the preseason, but
Yeah.
he sure looks pretty good.
Is there a point this year when Dylan Harper gets into, and this I'm stealing Nick's and your thunder, your
But
listeners?
I got a
out
question.
Is there a point this year when
he
is there-
never does.
is there a
Okay.
point this year when Dylan Harper
I'll tell you what.
starter?
Register for the chat.
Okay.
You can submit your question and then I'll answer it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll answer it. I don't know, but yeah, if he's knocking down the door of the starting lineup, then some things have either gone really well or really wrong.
That's insightful. Go ahead, Nick.
All right. I just want to give some credit because we answered a lot of the people's questions just as with our incessant rambling. So I want to give a shout out to David Parra, who was asking about Julian ahead of time. So we kind of answered your question, David. So
Shout out
for not getting there, David Parra. See, he knows what the people are going to ask. But
Have the pulse.
he knows the pulse.
Finger is
So
on the pulse.
So David was going to answer that. So
It.
shout out to him for that. Another question that we've kind of answered a little bit, coming in from Jason Morrow here. It says the Spurs have a lot of athletic kind of wings. How is that kind of changing? Are these guys interchangeable? We've kind of talked about that a little bit. And how does that kind of affect strategy when you have interchangeable pieces like they have?
I think part of that is I think Stefan Castle is now in that group, right? Like he is a wing.
Yeah.
And I think that's we've sort of gotten at that earlier. When you have De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper on the team, you count him as part of it. And I think that what that does to the strategy is you have a guy like that who can guard 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and handle the ball, be a second ball handler in any unit that he's on. And what you hope for those athletic wings is that Jeff and Tom have written about this many times, but you hope more of them can make 3-point shots. Jeremy Sohan is kind of a wing, kind of a hybrid wing, hybrid big man. You need just more of those guys to make a 3-point shot. And I think that's where the strategy sort of unlocks this team.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the biggest question marks
Yeah.
hanging over this team. Can they develop a
Personnel, yeah.
consistent perimeter threat?
They didn't do much to address that in the
They
offseason.
did
The
not.
one 3-point shooter they did add has bad eyes. Lindy Waters has this is
We're not making
news.
fun of
Breaking news.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he shot pretty well with.
Yeah, he did. He did. So imagine, Lindy Waters is you can
He will be undergoing a minor laser eye procedure that could keep him out through Halloween, which would be the first 5 games.
we found that out today at
Yes.
Shooter. So that's breaking news.
They discovered that during a physical, and they're addressing it at this point.
Which begs the question that I will be sure to ask Mitch tonight. If you found that out in his physical, why are we waiting till like the night before the season to get surgery?
I think they might have been working on Wemby's height.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think that was
We haven't got that question, but 7'3", 7'4", 7'5", 7'10".
7'10".
trying to formulate, clarify, certify Victor's height.
All right. Martin Kroger wants to know, are the Spurs games this preseason, with them being undefeated, a bit more intense than previous years? He says it feels like the Stars are playing harder than expected, and if it's wonder that's due to Wemby's influence.
I think they are. I know we make light of preseason games, but they want to set that tone. Mitch has said of being physical, playing better defensively. That's been a big theme of training camp. So I think the answer would be yes.
And a part of that is Victor not having played for so long it's just come out of the gate like he's shot out of a cannon because he's been pent up.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are following that lead too.
Yeah.
Martin Kroger, one of our more devoted followers and readers, and I'm still working on it. Martin, he's been trying to give us his money. He lives abroad somewhere. He's not in America.
Yeah, Scandinavia.
He's been trying to give us his money for years, and our payment system is not set up to allow payments from abroad. And I've been promising him for years that I'm going to get that fixed, and I'm not sure if I can, but I'm still working on it. I haven't forgot you.
What if he just mails you the money and then
That's what I'm gonna pitch that as an option.
Can we just mail
him cash?
Can we just mail the newspaper?
And I let him borrow my login so he can have the password, and maybe that'll be the fix. But
I like Martin a lot.
We have a lot of people in this Zoom and who've listened to the podcast who really enjoy, for some unknown reason, spending parts of their day with us.
I think
and
it's
we
me.
appreciate it. Yeah.
I think it's mostly me.
Good question, Martin.
All right. Andrew Lyons wants to know over under on 1.5 Spurs All-Stars this season.
Ooh, Ooh.
Will someone join Wemby?
That's a really good question.
that's a really good one. Ooh. I'm still gonna take the under, but it's a tough question.
I would take the under as well, just because when you start breaking down Western Conference All-Stars, it's always just a ridiculously good player who there's just no room for. And like who you think would be the closest call?
I mean, Fox probably.
Yeah. If the Spurs played in the East, that number would be over 1.5.
I was going to ask.
And also, their record would be better in the East, which is how you get more than one guy on the All-Star team a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to put two on the All-Star team if you're in 9th place or something.
Like Stephon Castle's a really good player, reigning Rookie of the Year, going to do a lot of great things for this team this year. Just the way the Western Conference is stacked and just star players in the stack, I'm not sure he sniffs it. And that's no insult to him. It's just you have to put up huge numbers and be on a really good team. And I still, that's a good question, but I will take the.
Even when the Spurs had Tim, Tony, and Manu and were winning titles, more often than not, it was just one of them on the All-Star team. There were a few years in there where they got two.
Yeah.
But even then, it was mostly just one.
Yeah.
All right. I wish this person would have put your name in. If you have another question, please put your name in. We have an anonymous question. It says, I really appreciate you guys hosting this event. Enjoy the format and the information. In a recent podcast, you speculated that Carter Bryant would spend a good amount of time in Austin. He seemed like he's ready to contribute as a role player now, but I don't see there are minutes available. Do you still feel Austin is the most likely spot for him? It's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
It is. And one thing that made me think about this earlier today, actually, reading Tom's update on Lindy Waters, they're sort of running out of healthy bodies for the first week.
Yeah.
Like they might ask something of Carter Bryant the first week. But I still think that he is a guy ticketed for a lot of time in Austin this year.
The G League season starts in November. So those guys will be around at the beginning of the season anyway.
Right.
So it wouldn't be surprising to see Carter thrown in there as in kind of a healthy body situation.
I think he's played his way out of Austin.
De'Aaron, you think he's played his way out of Austin? I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure about that.
Wow.
He's really good.
I think that De'Aaron Fox being out, Lindy Waters being out, who else is question? Jeremy Sohan being out, Kelly Olynyk, we're not sure is all the way back. They're just going to need some healthy bodies for the games in the first week or two, or at least the first week. And does he come in and look overwhelmed? Does he come in the regular season and look like he can stick around? I think he will sort of answer that question on his own. But I do think that he's gonna spend time in Austin.
If you get to maybe you never do, but if you get to a situation where you have a mostly healthy roster, he's going to be a guy that's not playing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're 19 years old, the Spurs and pretty much all the other teams have adopted this thing where if you're 19 and a 19-year-old rookie and you're not playing a lot, you need to be in the G League where you can play a lot.
And he didn't play a lot for his college team.
He has not played a lot since high school.
Yep.
Okay, I was wrong. He's going to be in Austin the whole season.
See, Tom gets in these little moods.
What? I'm conceding that I was wrong. That should be lauded.
He's not going to be in Austin the whole season, but he's going to spend time there, much like the way that DeJounte Murray, Derek White.
How I'm accountable.
I've never felt so much like a marriage counselor as I do right now.
Oh, wait till I get to my next question. A non-basketball question, just for a moment of levity.
I hate
Harvey wants to know, love of the pod, what's the best Seinfeld episode?
Wow.
I go with marine biologist.
The lobster episode when they go up the Cape.
Oh, that's the Hamptons.
Yeah, the Hamptons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the shrinkage.
The shrinkage. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty damn good.
There you go.
There we go. All right, we got some.
You're not going to answer. You don't got.
The marine biologist is like the one that changed the game when they realized that they could blend the stories together. That's good. There's the doll from the later years was a good one. Anyway,
you have to look at the baby.
Maybe a dingo ate your baby.
All right, back to actual lineups. We got Jason Morrow and both Andrew Cheatham from Australia asking us about double big lineups this year. What does it look like? is Luke Cornett going to play alongside Wemby at times?
It has happened in the preseason. It seems like they're really liking what they're seeing with that, both on both ends of the floor. The matchups are kind of part of it, but I've enjoyed it so far. It seems like it's worked out. You see both Victor and Luke working in tandem. It works on offense in some ways because Victor can run the point and be the ball handler in the pick and roll, and then you get those basically two of the top four rim defenders in the NBA last year on the floor at the same time. And also, by the way, not big lumbering guys. One of them can hang on the perimeter defensively as well. So it works. I don't know that they're not going to start together, but I think there's definitely going to be instances in most games where you see both of them on the floor together.
And more breaking news, Luke Cornett loves the French vanilla.
Asked him that today. Loves the nickname French vanilla for that too, for that tandem.
Loves it.
He gave it 5 stars, 10 out of 10, no notes. So
I like it in my coffee.
Whoever came up with that wins the internet for the day.
He's a different player than Zach Collins was.
Yeah.
Which
never mind. I'm not
the point is that the double big lineup in Victor's rookie year did not go well. And partially that was because I think Victor wasn't ready to make it work well. Part of it is that Zach Collins is a different player than Luke Cornett is, does different things.
And forgot how to shoot for a while.
But I think that this one, that this is definitely going to be a weapon that Mitch Johnson uses. Like, why would you not? That's going to just overwhelm teams at times.
Defensively, it seems unstoppable.
Really raving about that pick and roll, right?
Yeah. And Luke played with Porzingis on the floor a lot last year, so that he's had experience playing with another 7-footer.
And again, we're going to see Victor unleashed in different ways than he was early on. He's going to be in different spots. I think his rookie year, he was figuring out what position he played in the NBA, where he was most effective. I think he has a better understanding in his head of the spots where he wants to be, where he wants Luke Cornett to be, where he can really kind of unlock the whole game.
It's the preseason, and you take every single thing in the preseason with a grain of salt. But do you know who leads the entire NBA during this preseason in post-ups?
I believe that's Victor Wembanyama.
It's Victor Wembanyama.
Yep.
Who never, and looks good doing it.
And I believe that last year he was not in the top 30.
Yeah.
And not total because he missed half the season, but in terms of percentage post-ups, he was not in the top 30. Now he's leading the league, and that is, early in the Wembanyama era, it was like, why doesn't he just stand next to the basket and dunk on people? It's not that simple, but more post-ups. This league is not a post-up league anymore, but I think that when you're 7'5" and have the talent that Victor has, it's something that they needed to add, and they're adding it.
I mean, maybe you can't just post up and
7'5".
How tall is he again?
7'6", 7'7". He's tall. We keep joking about it, but the point is, like, he's taller than 7'3". And last year, the Spurs listed him. The first couple of years, the Spurs listed him at 7'3.5", which is no other player in the league gets a half after their
there's
count. Very few. And he just does not want. He always laughs when I say this, but I think Victor does not want to be 7'5". Like, he doesn't want to be seen as the freak. George Murasan, Boban type of guy.
Just wants to be a normal 7'4" guy.
Wants to be a normal 7'3" guy, 7'4" guy. He 7'3" feels more athletic. And I think it's Victor. I think Victor does not want to be 7'5", and the Spurs are trying to help him out. But he's clearly, like, watch him stand next to Rudy Gobert. Watch him stand next to like Boban last year.
Between Tim and David.
Tim and David. He's a tall guy. It's funny, and it's a pain in the neck for sports editor Nick Talbot, because every week we're listing him at a different height, and we have readers writing in like, how tall is he?
Yeah.
Why can't you guys make up your mind how tall he is? Well, the Spurs can't make up their mind.
Yeah, they have him on 7'5" on the website, and then media day they said 7'4".
Yes, and I love when they say, the word from the top is, please say 7'4", and then you ask, like, Julian Champagny, how tall? Well, I tell everybody 7'5". Like,
yeah.
I laugh because
y'all all need to get on the same page, people.
Mike, I don't think I've ever heard you refer to Nick without sports editor Nick Talbot.
I've referred to sports editor Nick Talbot.
I think that's going to be a name change.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a wonderful tie.
Oh, thank you.
Really like it.
Thank you. very bright for this podcast. That's the only way I could stand out here. Maybe everyone can see me because I am not 7'5". I wish I was. I'm not going to lie about my. I wish I could lie about my height like Victor and Kevin Durant could. That's for sure.
Wish you were a little bit taller.
I wish I was a little bit taller.
I wish I was a baller.
Wemby and Kevin Durant don't wish that, but I do.
Wish you had a
Hey, when we
what I would call her.
when we take on the Spurs staffers, like who's got Corliss in our pickup game?
That's the thing.
You're guarding Corliss. That's
What did Devin say? That's, oh man, that'll be ugly.
Well, they have like Rashad Lewis is still around too, right?
yeah, but he'll
Pretty sure you
Oh,
could take
okay.
Rashad and Corliss off the team, and we would still lose just because Mitch Johnson would probably eat us alive.
correct.
Johnson, and that's the other issue about like I felt bad for those Celtics media guys just because you can be a decent pickup player and the NBA guys are just the issue. Nick made a joke yesterday about surely I would score more than 4 points than the Celtics media managed, and like they would just not let us get the ball up the court.
Like this guy's not technically on the coaching staff anymore, but like Brett Brown would wear us out.
I don't know about that.
That guy, he would, Brett Brown.
Like I actually still play pickup basketball. Like here's the thing, and I know Matt. I would give Matt Nielsen buckets. Like I feel like I could do.
I'm gonna tell him you said that. I'll let you tell. You'll tell him. Wow.
Just in the half court, I feel like I could score on some of those guys, but we wouldn't be able to get the ball.
The man played in the Olympics.
I know
Because we only have one guy who can actually play basketball, and they just trap you in the game.
and I'm sort of joking about that. Like the difference between NBA guys or Olympic guys who've played at the highest level is so far removed, as the Celtics proved, from the weekend warriors. It's silly. But the big issue is, just to get down to it, is
He's thought about this way too much, by the way.
I have.
He's been thinking about this for 48 hours.
wouldn't be
now.
able to get the ball up the court. Those guys would
I could get the ball.
swamp us.
Could you get the ball up the court with a big gulp of
Well,
can, really?
Didn't we
I have
have
to put the
that?
big gulp down.
Didn't we have that debate last year or a year or two ago about Bob Cousy? You playing Bob Cousy or something?
We did.
Like at age 80.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is Bob still alive? Or was-
yes,
okay.
yes.
The other thing is,
Because I was gonna say that's the one way I could beat him probably.
the press corps just doesn't have a lot of guys who have even like played pickup on the week. Like I think Michael C. Wright, friend of the podcast, longtime friend of the Express News, college football player, former college football player, super athlete, probably the best athlete on the beat. But I don't know. Does he play in the driveway with his kids? Paul Garcia plays some pickup basketball. He's living in El Paso.
Are we letting Jacob Toby play with us?
Toby probably could play something. Would we get Sean Elliott on the media team now?
Well, the
This is
Celtics,
such a deep dive.
the beat writers did not get Scalabrine, so
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, then we're cooked.
they were cooked. But I bet we could score more than 4 points.
I'm not sure. Corliss would just anyway.
That's why he put someone in the hospital. That's why I don't.
I would do an entire podcast, an entire Zoom session just
I
to
would-
pick up basketball if people would let me, because that's what I truly
I would
like.
forget about Corliss. Matt
Obviously.
Nielsen's coming for you.
Yes,
I like Matt and
we're
I
gonna have to clip this and show it to him.
Yes. Yeah.
Matt,
He just picked one guy and said, "I would
Yeah.
give that guy buckets." Jeez,
I said it for comedic effect.
Jeez.
All right. Getting us back to the reader questions at
Sorry.
some point. I'm been a bad host.
guy.
Sorry for everyone in
We can
watching
add
at
10
dinner.
minutes
I
if
should have
you want.
brought
We
these
got-
guys in
well,
like at least 5 minutes ago. We got a question from Michael Lyles. I'm going to expand on it a little bit. He said, "Will the Jackal support group help the team?" And I'd just like to talk a little bit about Wemby's kind of involvement on trying to get all this stuff kind of going. And
That's the part
and
that's
his-
interesting. To
I think
me.
that's kind of the interesting part, is not just will the Jackals help the team. It's Wemby's involvement in trying to do all these things.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool. Like, it's. I know some people, older people might think it's goofy or whatever, but to have this one section that's just screaming its head off and doing organized chants, it's cool. It brings it a different vibe. But the thing that's interesting to me is just Wemby taking it upon himself to like, this is something I've seen that I would like, just having that involvement with the franchise and with the fans and with the Spurs community is something that I think it means something. Like he's invested in this franchise all the way down to like the game day experience. So I think you can only take that as a good sign.
And I think like the Spurs have had way back to the beginning, the baseline bums, and
He-
the point is how to put this. In some cases,
You could
they
give
might
the
say,
baseline bums buckets.
well, no. What I'm saying is, if it had been anybody else, the Spurs might say, "Hey, we already have a fan group."
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But when it's Wemby, it's like, if you want your own fan group, if you want to do it in a completely different way, we're going to let you do whatever you want to do.
Unless
And if Wemby wants to reimagine it
Yes.
and keep the baseline bumps around and put it on the opposite side and make it younger and more European and all that stuff, Wemby can do whatever he wants to do.
If you want to move him to the second row of the bench and we'll put our assistant coaches in the stands, whatever.
Exactly.
unless you were there in Hemisphere, you cannot imagine the presence of the baseline
Yeah,
bumps.
it's not
And it's a different era now.
not the same. It's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
Around 1990, with the ownership change, when Drosis sold to McCombs, they were neutered. They were told no more of your shenanigans. So they're a different fan group now, but
Right.
back in the day, nobody could hold a candle to them.
Someone mentioned today at Shoot Around how these preseason games have just been more fun than the normal preseason games, and that's a little bit of a part of it. Like they're bringing a little bit of a juice to games that otherwise we might just snooze through.
I think the bigger picture answer to the Jackals question is there has never been a moment since draft night in Brooklyn when Victor walked across that stage where there was any question about him just being fully invested in San Antonio and the Spurs and building this for the long haul. This is the place where he wanted to be even before the draft. Like R.C. Buford watched him as a teenager in Europe as a young teenager. I mean, the Spurs have been where Victor has wanted to be for a long time, and he's never given any indication during 60 loss seasons, during struggles, that he wants to be anywhere else. And this is just another example of that he's kind of wants to be involved from the top to the bottom. And again, if he wants to run the fan section, the Spurs will delightedly let him do whatever he wants to do.
Somebody told me he was really into that too. Like he had all these people scouted, and was taking notes, and
he
like
was up at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday to get there and do it.
they had to
Cuts into his chest time.
they had to tell him we have to move on. You can't go deep on all these guys.
Yeah.
All right. JT Reagan has a question. I'm going to kind of combine it here. He wants to know, how many minutes do you think Dylan Harper gets, and does he ever play point guard over Castle? And we had another reader kind of chime in, was an anonymous one. Does Dylan Harper ever crack the starting lineup this season at all?
See, all you had to do is wait, and someone would have to steal his thunder.
Finger on the pulse. That's all I'm going to say.
God,
We sort of
got a finger for you.
We sort of answered that earlier. But I think that Dylan Harper playing point guard over Stephon Castle, I think that's the future, is that he is if you rank point guard minutes, I think it's De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle's just going to play a lot of wing, whether that's 2, 3, whatever. And I think that there probably will come a point when Dylan Harper starts because of injury. Like De'Aaron Fox is not going to play 80 games. He's going to miss the first couple, and then he's going to miss some more probably.
And Castle will miss some.
And Castle will miss some. And again, Louis, we talked about it before, but I think that navigating that is something that Mitch is going to have to figure out. But yes, Dylan Harper will play lots of point guard minutes. He will start some. And Jeff has just been exuding praise for how good he's looked in the preseason.
Really
he looks the role.
Yeah. And again, you don't want to read too much into preseason, but it's 2 games where he's looked really good. I think it'd be worse if he came in and pooped the bed. He comes in and looks like he fits and belongs and kind of knows what to do with the ball. I think that's been and makes plays both for himself and other people.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
All right. We had this question twice, so I ask it, what does a Sohan contract extension look like compared to other players in his draft class?
He's not going to get one.
I mean, we answered. We kind of
said that earlier.
Yeah.
He'll be a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
like Jeff mentioned earlier, we could be shocked in the next week and look foolish by a press release coming out like right now saying Spurs signed Jeremy Sohan to a contract extension, but I don't see it coming.
The Kings just gave Keegan Murray, what, 5 years and 140?
Yeah, 28 a year.
So I wouldn't even pay that to Keegan Murray. So
Yeah.
so less than that, if there was one hypothetically.
Yeah, like I don't like that's not it's going back to the question about all these guys getting to the point of max deals and how do you have room for them and how do you stay under the apron, what have you. You do that by not overpaying Jeremy Sohan right now.
Yeah.
Jonathan Kuminga is much more highly regarded than Jeremy Sohan, I think is fair to say. He just went into restricted free agency and just had no suitors.
Yeah, it was kind of a mess though, too.
And so he's back with the Warriors. And I think that you, Jeff alluded to earlier, you look around the league this summer at these restricted free agents and how little mobility they had. I think that gives you more confidence that it's okay to let Jeremy Sohan.
There will be more teams with money this summer than last summer, but I don't think
They're not going to be pounding down the door to sign.
I don't think I don't think you throw a lot of money on a Jeremy Sohan offer sheet if you're one of those other teams.
And if he has a great year and the Spurs really want to keep him, they will have the opportunity to keep him.
Yeah.
They can match any offer. So,
all right. JT also wants to know, assuming everyone is healthy at the end of the year, how does the closing lineup, your starting lineup at the end of the year, differ from your starting lineup on, say, the first week? It's a good one.
It's a good one, except closing lineup a lot of times is situational. I mean, there's some guys that are obviously going to be in it, but do you need a defensive guy? Do you need a 3-point shooter? Do you think it's going to change a lot of things? So.
The guys who I envision making important late game plays down the stretch of games if they're trying to get into the play and they're trying to get into the playoffs. I would not be shocked to see Victor Wembanyama.
Whoa,
De'Aaron Fox.
You've lost your dang mind, buddy.
De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle. I think Dylan Harper could be out there
by the end of the year.
By the end of the year. And then it's name your shooter. Like, as Jeff said, matchup wise, does it need to be a bigger shooter like Harrison Barnes? Does it need to be a guy like Devin Vassell who's out there who can keep defenses honest and make those 3-point shots? Like, are you playing against a bigger lineup where you might have a double big out there to protect the rim, Luke Cornett out there? But I think there's going to be some times when you're just going to see Victor and 4 guards. And that could be kind of fun to watch.
You didn't name David Jones-Garcia.
I didn't say,
that's our
I'm not
biggest
going to
draw
rule out David Jones-Garcia. Maybe he'll work his way up.
It's a good point to salute the professionalism and consistency that is Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
Correct.
And he probably will start all 82 games.
Yes.
He certainly will play in all 82 games.
Harrison's the man.
I think it's the other way around. If he plays in 82 games, he's going to start 82 games. If something happens and he misses a game, then maybe.
No, I think he starts as long
he's
as
as steady a guy as I've ever been around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a normal guy. Like
he is.
Yeah.
He is.
And I mean that in a very complimentary way.
Yeah.
Like you talk to him and it doesn't seem like you're talking to an NBA player.
Yeah.
I think it's the glasses that he wears after the game.
There was an assistant coach in Miami at the preseason game I was at trying to.
I heard the story.
They were flying out that night.
I heard the story.
So some of the assistants have to, hurry everyone up. And he recruited Harrison. Harrison goes like, he goes, no.
That face.
I'm not trying to. You're the enforcer. I know you're ready, but you're the enforcer. Get these guys going. And Harrison says, it would have been nice if I had learned this earlier. And he says, now you want me to get the guys going with the big fella getting a rub down? The big fella being Victor, of course.
And a rub down is a massage. Correct?
So, that sense of humor is there, too. And
we almost didn't appreciate him enough last year during the Chris Paul experience because they were the 2 new adults in the room.
Yeah.
And Chris was always talking.
Just overwhelmed everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Harrison played a huge role in helping that locker room grow up last year, and he's still around. And that's a good thing for the Spurs.
Yes.
What else?
Good man.
All right, Andrew, as we start to wind down these questions, so if you have a question, get them in. We've been talking for about an hour with y'all. Get them in, hit that Q&A button, get them in. Andrew wants to know, is it more exciting to cover this team that may have playoff aspirations, or was it more exciting to kind of go through the whole draft process where they have a lot of top picks in the last couple of years?
Exciting.
I
Wow.
don't think Jeff has been excited.
This feels like that pop question about happy. Happy?
Yeah.
Who's happy?
Yeah.
Fun? This isn't fun. It's excruciating. No. There's exciting. It's more exciting to cover things that mean things.
You can go back to
Most
what Jeff talked about. Jeff's entering year number on the beat as the beat writer. You're hit
Why do you got to do this to me?
18, 19 years,
We have to.
20, right?
It's 19.
19. For, I don't want to speak for him, but for many of those years, it was kind of the same thing every year. The Spurs are competing for a title. They're either going to win it.
Play until June.
Play until June. And when things came down, it was kind of something new.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was interesting for a while.
Yeah.
That's
Correct.
the thing when you're covering this stuff, it's not like you're emotionally invested in the wins or losses. It's just you want interesting stories and you want to tell the same stories over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And when they got to start over with new people, those were new stories. And now we're kind of at a point where we've been telling the story of, can they ever win again now for too many years in a row?
Yeah.
So it would be fun to tell a new story.
That's a good way to
Most
put it.
anticipated season, I think,
In a while.
in a long time. So
Like it was okay in those 19 years. It was fun at first to like, oh, we're in the, I'm covering a playoff series now. And now it's the conference finals. Now it's the finals. And then, but after a decade of that, you're like, I just want some time off, man.
Yeah.
And so then it was,
Admit that
so then-
on the Spurs.
so then,
Okay.
well, I'm just talking. Then it was interesting for a while to, cover the draft for the first time. Like it was how many years into the beat before I ever covered a draft was the Victor Wembanyama draft.
Because there was no point in
There was no-
sending you to
Yeah.
the draft for the 29th overall pick.
And a lot of times it was a week after the season had ended. And you're like, no, I don't want to, like, it's too much. So it was fun for a while to do that and to cover the building process and the the machinations to put the team back together. But like you said, it's kind of getting, from a coverage standpoint, stale again. And we're ready to cover some more games that matter.
we wait for the story.
You can only write so many stories about how this is going to pay off 5 years from now. Eventually, you have to write the stories about how it's paying off
Yeah.
Or not.
or not.
Yeah.
So that's the intriguing part of this season.
All right, we'll wrap this up with two final questions. If the Spurs avoid the play-in and make the playoffs, what playoff team from last season do they replace besides maybe Memphis?
The Kings were in the play-in last year, right?
Yeah. But you're asking if they avoid the plan?
Yeah, if the Spurs avoid the play-in and make the playoff,
You're asking me if the Spurs get to the finish in the top six,
all right?
who are they knocking out from the top six last year? Who were the top six last year? I don't know off the top of my head. I will say not OKC,
The Warriors,
not Denver.
Warriors play. That's why it's so hard to imagine them getting that high. I guess with the Clippers being that group, you're really putting us to the test here without going through it. The Mavericks were in the play-in.
Dallas, yeah.
The Warriors were in the play-in. Is that right?
Yes.
I can't remember if they got a bye or not.
We're forgetting Minnesota.
Minnesota.
But like, it's not going to be, we'll just go from the top. Oklahoma City, Denver, Minnesota, Houston. I think I feel solid about them being in the top four.
I think that's pretty good.
Clippers.
So
Lakers?
then you have Clippers,
Clippers.
Lakers, Warriors. Those are the group of teams that the Spurs would be vying for that fifth and sixth spot. The Lakers, LeBron James has sciatica.
Yeah.
That's not good,
But they also have
Luka
Doncic,
right?
who looks just amazing.
But they're a team that could get old fast,
Yeah.
which often happens to NBA teams.
I mean,
Clippers are one of the oldest teams in the league.
if you're asking how do the Spurs break the top six, it's going to be multiple teams like that look really good right now and are star packed that
Right.
just fall apart health wise. And
That's the Lakers, Clippers, Memphis group. That could
Easiest way is stay healthy and have other teams don't stay healthy. That's usually how you finish in the top six,
Yeah.
I mean,
especially in the
State
West.
something happens to Steph, something like stuff like that.
Jimmy Butler,
Jimmy
they
Butler.
could go down. When someone goes down, that's usually the easiest way. All right. One final question. It's a little conceptual. This season, will it be more, this is very San Antonio, will it be more like a mariachi crescendo or a quiet flamenco rehearsal?
Good Lord, what are you talking about the season?
Yeah, the season. Is it gonna be loud? Or is it gonna be quiet? That's kind of the question, right?
and it's mariachi crescendo.
Yeah, a loud mariachi band or a quiet flamenco.
It's not going to be a quiet flamingo.
I'm going to go with mariachi band. I think whatever happens, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. This isn't the year for softness.
So the Spurs are going to make some noise this year.
Spurs.
No, the point is like whatever. This is the year when results have to be shown.
It's going to be a Joe King Carrasco season.
And
I knew Tom would have.
there's either going to be celebration about a breakthrough or panic in the streets. I don't see anything that's just like understated and everyone's just kind of okay with it. I think those days are.
Might depend on who you were talking about, because like we were saying the other day, like to me, getting to the play-in is like the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But if all I do is get to the play-in, you can see that, win 40 something games, get to the play-in, you can see that there's been progress made, and maybe you're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be full playoff bracket or bust year. If they're still in the 30s in their wins and nothing horrific has happened injury-wise, and they're not even, I think they should play a game past the end of the regular season. I think that should be the barometer of do we count this as a successful progress?
There's a to nip this, to finish this up on that note, like there is a clear delineation between a good season and a bad season this year that I think exists in a way that it didn't the past few. Because if they play an 83rd game this year, I think they made the proper step forward. And would you like it to be more than as the 10th seed on the road against the 9th seed?
And maybe it is, and that's gravy.
And if they don't play in an 83rd game this year, whether it's because of injuries, underachievement, whatever, I think it's a disappointment. And I think we'd all agree that they underachieved, and that's a problem. I think it's very clear. You either play in an 83rd game or you don't. And if you don't play in that 83rd game, something has been disappointing. Something has gone wrong.
You, sports columnist Mike Finger, have done a great job of detailing the progression that it takes to get to the top.
Uh-huh.
And you got to take your lumps, as you pointed out. It doesn't happen like that.
Right.
And the next progression would be the play-in.
They made the progression last year to the mid-30s from where they were before.
Yeah, 12 extra wins with Victor playing in 46.
Yeah. But when you look at the conference, you look at the players on their team, they now have veterans.
Yeah.
They now have all the pieces in place, and you want to take that step forward.
Yeah. Not all the pieces, but pieces enough to take a step forward.
All right. And if you want to follow us as we try to watch these guys take that step forward, make sure you subscribe to the Express News or expressnews.com.
Yep.
Subscribe to our podcast. I believe available on all Apple, Spotify. You can find us everywhere. You can get us on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. Click and subscribe is the YouTube lingo we use there.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Yeah. Someone's been watching YouTube.
No, someone has children.
Someone has children. That's a lot of bluey. Smash that like button and follow us for the entire season. We're, of course, your best source for Spurs news. Mike, take us home as you usually do.
Take care of each other and keep it real.